Viral videos are a staple among internet users and even common folk nowadays. We all know this. The impact certain trends have had on the YouTube formula are still present to this day. Just look at the state of clickbait. That's something that's tolerated now when it used to be the biggest crime on the platform. We're seeing public nuisance pranksters, gambling live streamers, and Tesla giveaways left and right. Now, with that being said, the state of the internet currently isn't the best. But was it really that good a decade or so ago? Let's take a look at that. You see, trends have existed for as long as society itself has. The emergence of internet trends was a given as soon as the birth of the internet occurred. Forums and blog sites, places like that would be a breeding ground for certain trends. Think copy pastas. That was an early thing that was kind of trendy to do, was mass email all your friends a copy pasta about something. That was fun and funny. I don't know. And just horror stories in general, not even revolving around trends, have been around on the internet since the early 2000s, if you'd believe them. But when YouTube was created, it wasn't nearly as popular or lucrative as it can be now, and that was until internet trends really put YouTube into its ever-present chokehold, where you still see almost every creator hopping on a certain bandwagon to gain a little bit of extra views, subscribes, clicks. And there's nothing wrong with that. You clicked this video and I probably had a clickbait thumbnail, kind of. Now, some of these trends were cool, some of them were funny, some of them were dangerous, and then others were just downright stupid. And among these internet trends, challenge videos have been around since the early days of the internet, with the peak of their popularity happening, in my opinion, during the early to late 2010s. Creators like Glozell and LA Beast would design their channels around this format of content, this challenge content, earning them over a combined total of 1 billion views, with audiences tuning in weekly to see their favorite challenger take on massive amounts of food or discomfort, or just, if it's something you've thought of, it's likely a challenge on YouTube. One of the earlier, more popular challenges from this era was the Cinnamon Challenge. Y'all have probably heard of that. But in case you haven't, the Cinnamon Challenge was a challenge in which participants would try to swallow a spoonful of cinnamon without choking or coughing, which was basically impossible. Don't go try to do it, actually. Don't do it. These are stupid to do. And while this isn't the safest challenge for people with, like, asthma or other breathing problems, it didn't kill anybody. There have been cinnamon-related deaths, but none from the Cinnamon Challenge necessarily. And this was popular among, like, every YouTuber at the time. Like, there were people like Markiplier, PewDiePie, Boogie, which, well, I'm not going to talk about Boogie, but he did it too. These challenges would start off innocent enough, if you would call it that. However, the idea of self-preservation flew out of the window pretty quickly, especially as more success came with challenges that involved putting yourself in harm's way, such as the Fire Challenge, where you would light yourself on fire to see how long you could be on fire. And also just eating Tide Pods, which I thought that was a fucking joke. People really did it. 37 people back in 2018 were reported to eat Tide Pods. Half of them were intentional. By teenagers, by the way. What? And that was probably the weirdest challenge, because nobody ever really said anything about it, or to my knowledge. Was the challenge just eat one and try to live, and then you can brag about doing it? And while this next fad, or fads, because it's kind of just a generalization of a type of content from a past era, overly personal content. Draw My Life videos were almost every 2010 creator's way of spilling out their personal information to their audience. These videos would involve the creator telling you about their upbringing, personal life, and where they were at during the time of posting said video. And now this is opinion-based, but I feel like as this style of content began to become more frequently posted, this is when viewers, began to develop these parasocial relationships that we're seeing a lot more of nowadays. These parasocial relationships could lead to things such as stalking, doxing, other types of harassment because, certain people are lunatics and they're gonna treat a creator as if they owe them 100% of their time and energy, and that's just not the case. I apologize, it's just not the case. And one of the worst things to come from this kind of doxing and whatnot, because of, in my opinion, this overly personal style of content, sharing names, where people live, making it easier to find out where these creators are. Swatting. If you're not familiar with swatting, it's when you basically, usually when a creator is live, people will call the police station and they'll make a false report saying that they either have guns or drugs or have somebody held hostage or whatnot, and they'll have a SWAT team sent over. And if you're hearing a little breathing right now, I have my sleepy little dog sitting down in my lap right now, and I do not apologize. But that's the explanation for that. And back to the swatting. People would call in these false reports, and SWAT teams would come and bust into these people's houses with guns pointed at them and tell them to, put their hands up or get on the ground or whatever. They would shout instructions at them, and they would be treating this as if it were the situation described to them on the phone, like pretty seriously, even though it wasn't. It's somebody fucking playing Baldur's Gate. I don't know. You get what I'm talking about, though. This can be obviously dangerous and scarring in so many ways that I don't feel like I even have to get into it. But there's plenty of other creators that have gone deeper into swatting and doxing and these parasocial type relationships, more so than that I recommend giving a watch after you're through watching this video. Yeah, honestly, and I feel like, again, a lot of this, and this is opinion-based, you are 100% allowed to disagree with me in the comments if you disagree, but I just feel like that overly personal style of content, while harmless, went on to breed a less harmless product in the end. That's just my opinion. Give me your thoughts down below. I'd love to hear them. And the next one, a little bit more lighthearted now. YouTube poops. And now YouTube poops were mashup edits of music videos, internet clips, shows, movies, whatever you could think of. If it was a piece of visual media or anything, it would get made into a YouTube poop, basically. There's probably a YouTube poop of it. So shows like SpongeBob, the Super Mario show, the music video for Gangnam Style, and many more were made into YouTube poops. And those were some of the popular ones. And this form of editing would employ, at the time, very experimental techniques. I honestly attribute this to being one of the earlier examples of brain rot content.
Yeah, I like to solve the puzzle.
All right, go ahead. That's it, yeah.
Those types of videos. I think these were a precursor to that, just a little bit more tastefully done. This type of content was almost instantly popular among internet users, because when this type of content started to be created was around the, I'd say, peaking of the random equals funny mindset that a lot of internet users at the time had. And I'm not saying all the YouTube poops are unfunny, I'm just saying maybe they were a lot funnier at the time because they started to be created in about 2004, which is when the first official YouTube poop, like the first video to be considered YouTube poop, was created, which was just a few months before YouTube itself was created. So this isn't necessarily just limited to YouTube, but the trend was definitely popularized on this platform. But yeah, YouTube poop. Gangnam Style one was pretty funny. Despacito 2, have y'all seen Despacito 2? Pepe, have you seen Despacito 2? He has, it's his favorite video. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention the last one, but I added this at the last minute with the recent Kendrick versus Drake beef. And I don't want to liken YouTube diss tracks to Kendrick Lamar and Drake, but It's Every Night Sis by Rice Gum has 200 million views on it, and Not Like Us has about 40, I think, so I'm just kidding. I'm talking about Rice Gum era diss tracks here. Back when two YouTubers who were in an argument over similar qualms you'd see middle schoolers fighting over would get into the studio and release a song about shit they didn't like about the other person. And they had almost little to no musical experience every time. I don't remember hearing a single good diss track from this era. And I mentioned Rice Gum earlier as he's the primary example of a diss track centered YouTube channel. He would diss every little kid that posted a video on the internet. And they weren't that good, but they were just punchy enough to gain him an audience of 12-year-old twits that don't really know any better. And while he was probably one of the only YouTubers to be kind of focused on diss tracks, at least for a while before he started making weird, different content, a lot of other YouTubers, like I said, hopped on this train, this hype train. You had people like KSI, the Paul brothers, Sky Does Minecraft. There's a lot of fuckers that were making diss tracks, I just realized. There's a lot of fuckers that I mentioned in this video. I know it's been only like 2, but still, I don't know. 3, but I don't know. But if you're somehow unaware of the 2017 feud between Rice Gum and Alyssa Violet versus Jake Paul, which is probably the most popular, most viewed diss track on YouTube, by YouTubers at least, because as I'm recording this, the video is sitting at about 200 million views. This fucking diss track blew the minds of like every 12-year-old twit that doesn't know any better and sparked a wave of diss tracks just across the platform. You had people like the Paul brothers versus each other, Deji versus the Sidemen, among others, because I'm not gonna get into the KSI Sky Does Minecraft one. That one makes me sad. I don't like that one. In a pathetic way, not in a sympathetic way. This would inspire a lot of other creators to release their own diss tracks, with the most recent and popular example being Kendrick Lamar versus Drake. No, I'm just kidding, by the way. Don't kill me in the comments for that. I just wanted to clarify before my outro that this was an era of YouTube in which stealing ideas was frequent, like nothing was original. I am fully aware that the idea of making a diss track was not created by YouTubers for YouTubers, and I am not under the assumption that the Tupac vs. Biggie beef happened after the Rice Gum vs. Jake Paul beef. So I just wanted that to be known. But yeah, if y'all liked this video, make sure you leave a like for one. Leave a comment letting me know what you'd like to see next. It helps greatly in making more videos for you guys. And share this with a buddy if you think they'd find this interesting. If you didn't like this video, leave a dislike and leave a comment telling me what you think I could do better in the next one. And y'all have a good night. I'm gonna go shit the bed.